Well, thank you so much for everyone giving up their time to come here this afternoon. A few strange characters about the long room today. And I'm not just talking about the people who live up here, I'm talking about some of these guys over here. Let me introduce you to some of the characters that we have on the front of the hall tonight, or this afternoon. On the far right there's Granda, and I think he's a real grumpy looking character. There's only one word ever on his mind, and the one word is invade. All he wants to do ever is to invade, and he's not happy if he's not invading. And he wants to suppress, he wants to put down, he wants to make sure that he gets his way, and that's the only way you can possibly have things to happen. And he's really grumpy today because his two grandchildren are looking an awful lot happier, and the reason why they're happy is because they have a completely different word on their minds. And the word that they have on their mind is not invade, but it's inspire. These guys believe that the way to the future generation and the current generation is to influence the hearts and minds of the young people. Not to suppress them and put them down and stifle their creativity, but in fact to do the complete opposite of that. What these guys want to do is to embrace the IT, the technological age that the young people are about. I don't know what you're like, but I know that in an awful lot of homes throughout Northern Ireland, that when there's an IT issue, it's usually the youngest member of the family who's first called and said, look, the video recorder won't work, or my computer won't work, and you don't ever go for the oldest member of the family because they haven't a clue what to do, and they're so frightened of making a mistake that they don't want to make any decisions about it at all. So you go where the knowledge base is, and it's quite often with the young people, and these guys know that. And what they've decided to do is to inspire and inject some sort of enthusiasm and passion for embracing this new technology. And what they say is that when children learn how to code computers, that programming is the key. Dream the dreams, I used to say to my computing classes, dream the dreams and write the code. The only thing that stops you from developing good code is your imagination. And people with a great imagination, and an awful lot of our young people have a fabulous, vibrant imagination, and too often us adults stifle that imagination. They've asked me to share a few important things with you this afternoon, and the first thing they want me to share with you is this: education has to be fun. I don't know what you're like, but the things that I really enjoy doing, my wife reminds me of the things that I enjoy doing and things I give my time and my energy to. And education, I've always enjoyed it. That's why I became a teacher. And I love being a teacher, and I love to see young people learn and progress. When the lights come on around the room, it becomes so bright, and I become so excited about what's happening. And education has to be fun, not just for the young people, but it also has to be fun for the teachers. And too often that's not the case. What we have done is we've stifled quite often the enthusiasm of too many really good and excited teachers because of the pressure that we put them under. And we need to redress that particular problem in the near future. If we want to create an environment which is conducive to learning, and learning really is enhanced most profitably whenever everybody's enjoying what they do. When you get up in the morning and think, great, I'm going to school today, I'm going to learn from the young people, they're hopefully going to learn from me, we're going to learn together, and that's what it's all about. And these guys have said this: education has to be fun. And what we've done with this book, what we've done with this book is we've tried to incorporate an awful lot of that into it. In the first chapter, within the first chapter, because if you look at the games industry in Northern Ireland, remember that the games industry is worth much more even than the music industry. And most of us are aware of the amount of money involved in music. The games industry has rocketed. Why? Because it embraces the enthusiasm, the energy that young people have. Why does a child go and sit in front of a game and stay there for 20 hours if you let them do that? You actually have to drag them off because they get instant responses, they get instant feedback, their goals are met and away they go, and they want to get to the next level. There's a challenge to get to the next level, and these guys say that education should be fun as well. That's the way it should be for all of us. And when education's fun, we give more to it, we're enthusiastic about it, and we enjoy it. Teachers enjoy it, and young people enjoy it. And so the first thing they've asked me to share is that education has to be fun. The second thing that they've asked me to share is this: that goals should be attainable. The games industry definitely embraces that, because what they do is no matter what level you go. I was trying to play in one of the game stations at Christmas time, and me and my brother were playing, and we were usually in a car game, we were usually 11th and 12th. out of 12. And my niece usually goes out for a cup of tea and gets a few sandwiches, and she comes back and she still wins the game. That's because we don't play and she does. So what makes it so good for people? Because they spend hours and hours and hours trying to get to the next level. What computer programming does, when you type in a line and you go refresh, you get instant feedback as to whether your line was correct or whether it wasn't. And so children very, very quickly, within 15 minutes, can be changing the background colour of a web page. Can be putting code into the web page which changes the text. It can change the colour of it, it can change the size of it, and they're getting instant feedback. That's exactly what happens in the game industry. We need to embrace some of those technological issues. Games isn't designed like that just for fun. They have marketed in that way to hold people's attention, and therefore the goal set should be attainable. At the end of every chapter, all the code that you have learned in that chapter is there. So the young people, what they can do with this is that they can start at the very start. There's some people will love to read the stuff, and they will start reading like a textbook. There's other people say, no, I want to go straight to the end of the chapter and I want to put the code in. And there's other people who will use a mixture of those learning methods. And that's the way education is, because we don't all learn the same, and we don't all do it the same way. But the goals that they set themselves enables them to progress through each chapter and to start to learn and start to embrace what this book is trying to teach them. We hope not just to use HTML, we hope to develop a series of books which teaches all the high-level programming languages which are being used at university. The other day I was working in school with a few of the students, and we were showing them how to do this. And I have a student who's in the PGCSE course, and she was standing beside them, and she said, whenever they left for lunch, I'm a wee bit embarrassed. And I said, why are you embarrassed? She said, because the stuff that they have just done in 15 minutes is what I was doing my second year at university. She said, that's not right. There's something not right about all of that. And I said, well, do you know something? That's exactly what this book does. Is allows the young people of Northern Ireland to learn these essential skills at a young age, just in the exact same way as you would learn a natural language. People introduce in the continent English, French, German, Spanish, Italian, and all sorts of other ones to children at a young age. Why? Because they want the development of that to be natural. There is no reason why we shouldn't introduce computer languages in a similar way, so that when they get to university, it's a walk in the park for them. That's the way it should be. So the first thing these guys have told me is education should be fun. The second thing they've told me is that goals should be attainable, not aspirational, and not these targets which are set away up there, which people feel and they become disillusioned with it. That's what happens in too many institutions around our province. When goals are attainable, people make progressional steps at the level of whatever the institution is. That's the way it should be. The third thing these guys have said is that the education should also make a provision where there's stretching. At the end of the games that you play, I don't play, but I'm talking to young people here play, there's a big stretch at the end which says, look, it hasn't finished yet, and you're going to have to spend an awful lot of time to find the way to the end of this game. How many people have walked into their schools with their chests out and their heads up and said, last night I got the level 10. And all of a sudden these children are heroes with their peers. Do you know that John got the level 10 last night? He did not. And all of a sudden, there's a wee guy who stuck at it and he got to the end. Not everybody will become a programmer in Northern Ireland, but everybody should be given the opportunity to develop the skills so that in a few years' time, we develop an infrastructure in Northern Ireland where the highly paid, highly skilled jobs are going to the young people of Northern Ireland. That's what my passion is. That's what I want. And all of this should be made available to them. And at the minute, it's not. So education should be fun as number one. Goals should be attainable as number two. The big thing is there should be a stretch aspect to it. What we've called it is not stretch and not the hard stuff. We've called it the cool effects. The cool effects on a website are at the end of this book. And you become a cool dude if you can reach the end of the book and you can get those things sorted. That's what makes real programmers worth their money. And that's why they become the top of these IT professions. And the last thing is that just great to be involved in a job that you really love doing. At 17, I wanted to become a teacher. I went to Stranmillis, I became a teacher, and I love it. Being a teacher is something I get up in the morning, I think, I'm going to school. And it's just great. I hope that all of you involved in the employment that you're involved with, you get up in the morning and think, great, I'm going to do something that I enjoy doing. I hope you do. Well, if we can develop in Northern Ireland fun with using IT, because IT is everywhere, if we can develop fun with using IT, we can possibly in a few years' time start to close that skills gap that is around Northern Ireland, because last year there were 2,000 jobs available, highly paid, highly skilled jobs available in Northern Ireland, and in Northern Ireland we filled 437 of them. That's wrong. And the big problem with it is people perceive this as being far too difficult. If 8-year-olds can do it, do you know something? Even I could do it then. And I don't know about you, I hope that's the case. These guys that shared with me some of the reviews, I've shared them with you. Thank you so much for listening. And it's with great pleasure, one of the ex-students of the school that I teach at, and he's now reached the very top of where we are in Northern Ireland. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce the First Minister of Northern Ireland, Mr. Peter Robinson.